For my 3-week prac, I was placed at St Peter's College, a Catholic school on the Central Coast. St Peter's is a very large school with around 1,300 students and a very large campus size. All the staff there were incredibly welcoming and inviting, and they gave me access to so many of their resources and were genuinely invested in my experience as a teacher and training. During my time at St Peter's, I took a broad range of classes, ranging from Year 7 graphics class to Year 12 industrial technology. I even had the chance to take an adaptive ed class, which was comprised of students with diagnosed severe learning difficulties and autism. My schedule over the 3-week period was incredibly hectic, and most days I would be teaching upwards of 5 to 6 periods from all different areas in the TAS department. Although exhaustive, it was a great opportunity to get in and sharpen my teaching skills. Over the 3-week period, there were several moments that particularly stood out, both good and bad experiences that ultimately helped me better myself as a teacher. There is, however, one episode that this reflection will focus on, and it is unquestionably the most difficult experience I've had as a teacher to date. In the moment, it was chaotic and difficult. However, in hindsight, I now know that this situation could have been handled better had I had more experience as a teacher. It was Monday, week 3 of my prac. My supervisor teacher was away. We agreed that I would take all of his classes, but however, there would have to be a casual teacher present in each class. But I was very much in control of the classes. By this point, I felt quite comfortable with my teaching and I knew the classes quite well, so I didn't have too much of an issue with this. I took a Year 9 construction class in period 5. This class had 4 students who had been suspended twice this year, and the rest of the students were generally good kids. By this point, I had built a decent rapport with these students, and I was confident that they would be respectful and somewhat productive for the lesson provided. However, this lesson quickly spiraled out of control, and my classroom management definitely got tested, and my inexperience definitely showed. The casual teacher wasn't too helpful at all. They more or less just sat on their laptop. Within a 50-minute period, students were flipping and throwing their projects, eventually resulting in one of the projects being snapped, despite me asking them multiple times to stop. Students were swinging a large iron pipe multiple times after I took it off them. Students glued their hands together. I had to go ask them to go wash their hands. One of the students actually glued one of the bench vices together and shut it. I wasn't aware of this until the next day where we went to open the vice and could not. This was reported to the TAS coordinator. One of the female students actually groped one of the male students. I didn't see this. However, the casual teacher finally intervened and took her outside to deal with her and sent her to the year coordinator. The image up on screen right now is the workshop I had to work with in terms of this class. It was quite a large workshop, and competing with large and loud machinery such as dust extractors and bandsaws, it was actually quite hard to keep the classroom under control. Obviously, as a prac student, I expect some adversity and a level of resistance from students due to my inexperience. However, in this case, it was completely over the line. Reflecting on this lesson personally and talking with my mentor, I now have a better understanding of what could have been done to better handle this situation. In hindsight, I should have removed all students from the workshop, as their behaviour was simply not acceptable or safe for them to be in that workshop. If I had a bit better of an understanding of the teaching strategies, I could have fallen back on them to really go back to the fundamentals. In particular, Standard 3.5, where it states, use effective classroom communication. By me taking them out of the classroom, that would have non-verbally indicated to them that their behaviour was completely inappropriate. Generally speaking, a workshop environment tends to be a much more constructivist style of teaching. Students are viewed as passive and in need of motivation and affected by reinforcement. Students are given a task and shown how to complete this task. For example, a teacher does a demonstration, for example, how to complete a new timber joint. I strongly believe in a workshop environment. This is the most effective way of teaching, and this was the plan going into this class. However, obviously that went out the window quite quickly when I was more or less chasing around students, trying to get them to behave and trying to get them to simply just act like mature students in a workshop environment because their behaviour was too unsafe. In conclusion, this was very much an eye-opening scenario. that I honestly felt I handled to the best of my ability at the time with my limited teaching skills. However, I truly believe that this was a beneficial scenario, as I have taken so much from this that I can then use in later years down my career.